Let's take a look at the audio spectrum effect today. All right, I'll start with a new composition called spectrum. Copy it. Okay, and let's go to import, import file, and this is my audio track. Let me drag it onto this composition icon here, and let me actually name this audio. This is the better way to work with, because now I have only one place to change the audio if I wish to. It's a 30-minute long audio track, so it's a pretty long composition, and this composition here is also 1 minute long because it's a long audio track. All right, let's drag the composition audio track right here. Now if you open this up, the audio, you can see the waveform right here, so we have information there. And let me create a new solid audio spectrum, and let's right click, effect, generate audio spectrum. First thing what you have to do is to select that audio track. Immediately you'll see a spectrum that react to your audio. And let me go through all of this right now. And this is where you have to select your audio track, and these options right here. This is actually a mystery because even the Adobe manual is silent about it. It describes what the audio layer is, but not those input options. But actually how it works, this is not actually a mystery, even though I use that word to describe that. Let me actually do this quickly. Let me create a new adjustment layer. I'm going a little off track here. I'm going to create a new solid to describe what these options are, right? Let me apply. You don't have to do this, you just have to watch this. Go to noise and grain, fractional noise. I'm gonna pre-compose, like go to layer pre-compose, noise. Let me hide it. And for this displacement, and for this adjustment layer, let me apply distort displacement map, and let me choose that noise layer. All right, now you see a noise like that. Now the purpose of these, now you see the similar options right here, like the audio spectrum effect. Now we've selected the layer and these options. What it does is that now I'm sampling the noise from this noise layer, this one right here, and I can just consider the information in the source or ignore any masks and effects that has been applied to this layer right here, or I can consider them as well. What I mean by that is that now if I select this layer and draw a mask like that, now in this layer, if I select mask, look at that, it even reacts to the feather as well. All right, that's what it does. Now it considers not only the information from the source, but the masks as well. If I select masks and effects, it's going to consider the effects that has been applied as well. So let's go to blur and sharpen, maybe fast blocks blur. If I do that, you see that now it's reacting to whatever the effect I'm applying there as well. When I'm changing the blur, that's what it does. So yeah, that's a very useful way of working. But for displacement map effect, it works. But the problem here is what I had to do all this because this stuff doesn't work for audio spectrum. for some reason. I don't know. Maybe I'm doing it wrong, but I don't think I'm doing it wrong. I have to actually write to Adobe about this. So anyway, that's what it does, because without talking about that, this would have been incomplete. That's why I told you that. So anyway, moving on. Start point. If I do 0, this is the start point, and this is the end point, right? So let's do 0 there, and 1920. So we have it all the way across. And path is that now you can draw any path on this layer, right? On this layer. And if you select mask 1, this is what it's gonna do. Right? You can animate this path as well. If you animate this mask path, it's gonna react to all of that. Very cool. You see that? That's what it does. Let me delete it. Now use polar paths. If you do that, it's going to, the waveform is now concentrated around this point, just the starting point. Now this is also really cool. You can do a lot of cool effects with this. You see that? That's great. Don't underestimate, because you can make really cool effects with that. Starting frequency. Now this frequency, start frequency and ending frequency. Now you know, any audio waveform has, you know, a frequency range. Right now, anything below 20 is ignored. That's what this means. Start frequency 20. Anything above 1500 is ignored. And so what this audio waveform captures is that the frequencies between 20 and 1500. So if you make like this, like 10,000, right? You won't see much of a difference right here, because it's going to the effect is going to sample from the audio, and it's going to look for very higher frequencies, like 10,000, but that doesn't exist. It depends on the audio, right? So if your audio track has that has those higher frequencies, then then that will be captured. But most of the songs doesn't have that. So if you type 1000, now the range is much smaller, so the audio waveform has more information to work with. So that's why you see a lot of information here. If you increase them like crazy, you don't see much, because those higher frequencies doesn't exist. So you might think that all right, I should type 0 here, so the lowest frequencies are also captured. Same thing, those lowest frequencies, like then the noise that you have that you even can't hear will be sampled there. So yeah, values around 25, 30 will work fine. So the frequency bands, you can just change it to see what it does, right? This is what the frequency band does. Maximum height, when you crank it up, you see a lot of movement right here. If you lower like to a very low value, so whatever the value you do there is the maximum height that this effect can reach. You call them frequency bands. All right, audio duration in milliseconds. Now milliseconds, 90 milliseconds is a very small amount of time. What this means is that in order to generate the waveform for a single frame, how much of a duration of the audio the effect is going to sample or process. That's what it means, the duration, 90. So if you lower it like 10, see what happens. There's not much information, right? There's not much information there. If you increase it like 3000, a lot of information will be there, but your refresh rate will be slower. Your rendering will be slower, because now it has a lot of information to process every frame. So yeah, a moderate value would work fine. Anyway, don't be afraid to change this value. If you don't like the value 90, you can change it. If you increase it, you'll see a lot of some additional detail there, but make sure that it could slow down. And the audio offset, this thing I never use, because audio offset is that if for some reason you don't want your audio, this waveform, to exactly sync with the audio track that is playing, then you do this offset, right? So we almost always want the audio waveform to exactly match with the audio that is playing. So I've never personally changed this value. So thickness is this. So let me actually reduce the frequency bands a little bit. All right. Now width, when I increase the thickness, this is what I see, and I can lower the softness to 0, then it'll be very crisp, or make it 100, so it'll be soft. I like to have it 0. Now these are for the colors. That's the inner color. This is the outside color. Now if I increase the frequency bands, these bands are now overlapping. If you need to have these overlapping bands to be blended, you can do that. If you click blended, then you'll see all of them separate. But otherwise, this is how it's going to look like. And let me actually do that. Maybe 3. Let's increase the amount. Okay. Now the hue interpolation is that if you do this, you'll see some change in hue. Let me set both of them to the same color. Now you can see it very clearly what this does. So what you can do now, I changed this to 1. If you change this slightly like this, then a small change in the hue happens like that. If you do 1 full rotation, then you'll see all of the colors in the spectrum. That's one way of colorizing your audio spectrum. Now let me do something like that. All right. Now, dynamic hue phase is that by default it's turned on. Actually, let me turn it off now. Now you see the colors, whatever the colors that are here, like it's a light blue here, dark blue here, purple, pink, red. The placement of these colors are not reactive to the audio. If I click on this option, the placement of the colors are now reactive to the audio. Now it will change the colors. You know, now right now you see the light blue here, and right now you'll see some green here as well. So these colors are now reactive to the audio. So you almost always, you know, would have this turned on. And the color symmetry is right now, what you would see here is that the placement of the colors are symmetrical. Right now it starts with the red and purple, magenta, dark blue, and to light blue and green. That's how it does to this side and this side as well. So it's symmetric. If you turn it off, it's asymmetric. See how this red area moves to the center if I turn on this attribute here. All right. All of these attributes are also keyframeable. You can see that the stopwatches here means that everything can be keyframed. Now display options is very interesting. Now it's digital. You can have analog lines right there. So if I change the frequency bands, and you would see something like this. All right. And you can do dots. That's a very interesting effect. Let's change the bands. All right. Now you see dots. Let's change it back to digital. And the duration averaging means that right now what you see here is a lot of randomness. If the randomness is too much, one thing you can do is to reduce this audio duration right here. You can do that. Actually, that's what I would do. But there is another option here. If you click on this, it's something similar to that, similar to lowering this this value right here. What it does is it's still going to sample or process 90 milliseconds every frame, but it's going to average them out to smooth the waveform. Sometimes you might need this as well, but personally what I would do is I would reduce this number. If I don't get a good shape that I'm looking for, then maybe I'll play with this as well. But this is what I would love to do because it might speed up the processing as well. But anyway, this option is here. And composite over original, as you might have guessed, then you'll see the white solid. And oh, I forgot this. Side options. Now side A and B means the upside and the downside. Now if I do side A, you'd see only this half. Side B means, oh, side B is only the downside. So it's a nice way to have, duplicate this. We'll have side A here. And if you need a reflection down there, then that's a nice way to do that. All right. But that's a basic explanation for the audio spectrum effect. But the beauty comes when you combine this with the other effects and really start customizing this. For example, let me do something really quickly. Let me pre-compose it. Let me apply perspective, CC cylinder. Let me actually quickly create a camera. And you see this. Now, if I increase the radius, you can already see now we have already made it 3D, and it reacts to the camera as well right now. You see that? And you can also rotate it like this. Maybe for fun, let me type time 125 maybe. Well, if you do that, it'll look something like this. Now you can take this even further and really start making an environment and other elements and actually duplicate this. I never use this effect like applied once and to this layer like that. I will have this effect applied to multiple layers and have different looks into them and blend them together and create something cool. So we'll do that in an upcoming video, but for now this is the basic explanation for the audio spectrum effect. So I'll see you in that video really soon. Thank you very much. Bye bye.